You are listening to the CAD Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of ZenTech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CAD Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CAD Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from ZenTech Consultants. I am Jim, your delusionally narcissistic host, and with me, as always, is my partner.
It's Rocco.
It's Rocco. And I'm making him laugh, so that's a good start to the show.
Those are interesting adjectives.
Hey, I mean, am I wrong? No, you're not. But that's all right. Even laughing at me as I start off, Rocco, will not excuse you from the engineering joke of the week. All right. Ready for this one?
Ready.
All right. So what's an engineer's favorite food?
What?
Pie, of course. See what we did there? Oh, that's terrible. Okay. All right. So today, folks, I want to talk about connecting PDF and CAD data. Look, whether it's, markups or as-built or submittals or even just printing out CAD design files to a PDF, there always seems to be a lot of struggle out there in sharing information between these two file types. Most design firms out there are, at this point in time, they're okay with, printing their drawings out to a PDF, right? But there are still steps and processes there that everyone should be using. But far too often when we're working with clients, I see that a lot of the design houses aren't doing these things. And we're going to talk about that. And on the other end, right, when we talk about getting PDF markup data back into a CAD system, that has always been kind of a holy grail type of process, right? Particularly in the construction world, where PDF markups are our primary communication interface. And the great news here is that it's really not that difficult a thing to do. When you have the right software and just a little bit of knowledge, you can actually take PDF markups and you can import them into your CAD files as complete vector-based lines on the correct layer. And think about that, right? And think about how easy that can make dealing with, as-builts and submittals or shop drawings or anything else that you need to get back into that CAD system. So Rocco, how often does the need for kind of pushing PDF data into a CAD system come up in your communication with our clients?
It's not every day, but it primarily comes from, as would be expected, within those that are in architecture and engineering. It's not something we talk to construction folks about every day.
Yeah, that makes sense. They don't always have CAD systems for the construction guys. So that's something you should listen to other podcasts we've done, and you should fix that. Okay. Let's start on kind of the simple side here today, right? And let's talk about the process of CAD outputting to a PDF. Look, the great thing here is that all modern CAD systems, I don't care which one you're using, they all have built-in PDF printers, right? And if you're working with a PDF editor, like Bluebeam or Acrobat, they usually have their own plug-in PDF printers for your CAD system that makes this a very, very simple process. And look, now, simple doesn't mean fully automated, right? There are a few things that you're going to want to look at on these printer drivers before you just click, the print button and forget it, right? And there really are three big things that you want to address. And they're usually under the PDF options section of your CAD printer or on the output tab of your CAD system if your PDF program has its own plugin, like Bluebeam does. And the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're including hyperlinks, right? Creating bookmarks, and most importantly, including layer information. So look, the first two things there are optional, right? But I really like them. The hyperlinks, right? The hyperlink option, when you have that enabled, it's going to maintain any links that you have put into the drawing. They're going to be maintained as clickable links in the PDF, which is nice. So if you're linking and referring out to other files or websites or whatever from the CAD file, the PDF will do the same thing. The bookmark option, that takes any named view that you have in your CAD system or even Revit really, and it converts them to a bookmark, or think of it like a table of contents in a side panel in the PDF editor, right? Which can be a major time saver for people, right? So if you have, views on details or specs and notes, whatever you have in there, they can just click and go right to that specific location, even in a 300 or 400 page document set. So really big time saver. But to me, the most important thing here is the layering, right? A lot of people don't realize that modern PDF editors like Bluebeam, right, can include and work with layer data, right? That's going to allow, the end users, the folks you're giving these PDFs to, right, the ability to turn items on and off in the PDF using the original CAD layers. Your CAD layers get printed as part of the file. Right? And like I said, it just makes things a lot easier for people in the construction world. If they want to measure a length of pipe, they can just go in and they can just isolate that layer, just like you would in a CAD drawing, right? But they do it in the PDF, right? And instead of having to fight around all of the contours and the annotations and any other symbols that might be in their way, makes it a lot easier for them to just pick and choose and measure and work with the items they need to focus on. And this, the layering concept, it's going to also make it a lot simpler when you're trying to import your PDF markup data back into CAD, which we're going to talk about in a little bit on the show. So Rocco, right? We usually have clients working in Bluebeam Review for these processes, right? Which versions of Review come with that CAD plugin that I talked about to kind of help simplify the whole process?
Yeah, if we're talking about the older perpetual license structure that a lot of people are still on, right? It's the CAD, Bluebeam Review CAD and Bluebeam Review Extreme that have the capabilities built in, and it's pretty much with every version, 2020 and version 20 and going back. If we're talking about the new annual license structure, it's within Bluebeam Core or Bluebeam Complete.
Okay. All right. So that's you guys, if you guys are interested in this is you got to make sure you're not on like really the lowest level version doesn't have these features. So you want to make sure you get stepped up a little bit. All right. So, the layer export, all right, from your CAD system, it's so important because when we get into the process of how to move items from a PDF back to CAD in the second half of the show, we're going to want to do two things, right? We're going to want to isolate by layers, and we're going to assign the PDF line work, what's been drawn, to a layer. Right? And both of these are going to be a lot simpler and speed up everyone's work if the layer naming conventions match up with the same layer names as the original CAD file. In other words, right, when you have a plumber who's going to give you an as-built of the pipes he installed, right, and he had to move and shift things, you want to import that back into your CAD system, and you want it to come in your M-pipe-new layer automatically, right, and not on the layer that he called, hey, Jim's markups, or worse, with no layer at all. Layers in the PDF also just make it easier to find the information that people kind of on the build end of our industry need really quickly and really easily. And that actually helps eliminate a lot of RFIs and potential confusions, right? If the GCs and the subs can just isolate for specific systems and focus only on what pertains to them at the moment within that PDF file. And look, we all know how much time and effort goes into creating and responding to and tracking RFIs. And anything that's going to help reduce that workload, I think is beneficial, to everybody in the design build process. Okay. So I tell you what, let's take a quick break here to let the sponsors get in a word. And on the back half of the show, I want to kind of walk you guys through the actual process of generating CAD line work from a PDF markup. So stick around, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hey everybody, this is Jim and Rocco with ZenTech Consultants, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the training options that we have available here for you guys at ZenTech Consultants. We offer public training classes as well as private custom courses for all of your software and design needs. So, Rocco, why don't you tell the folks what kind of training we offer and how do they reach out to us to get it going for them?
Yeah, Jim, we cover everything from Bluebeam to Autodesk to Microsoft to BricsCAD to civil site design training and beginner through to advanced level topics. Like you said, both public and private courses. If you got a group and want to run a class specifically for your team, we can help you. So just feel free to hit our website. We're at zentechconsultants.net. That's ZENTEK, or you can give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
There you go, ZenTech Consultants for all of your technology training need. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. We're talking about moving data back and forth between PDF and CAD files. And in this half of the show, I want to take you guys through the actual process, right, of moving your markups from a PDF editor and importing them as actual line work into your CAD system. And I'm going to focus on Bluebeam Review as the PDF editor here, since that's kind of the program most all of us work with these days. And on the CAD end, the process is really identical for both all the BricsCAD and the AutoCAD-based products. It's identical. And that should really cover just about all of our listeners. The process here is really simple, but it is a little bit of a workflow, right? And unfortunately, there's no one button pushed, right, to make all this happen at the moment. But it's easy enough that even, I think, entry-level people can handle this kind of work for you in your company. So Rocco, before I get into that and start outlining the process, right? Am I right in saying that most of our clients and listeners are using Bluebeam and either BricsCAD or AutoCAD? What's kind of the percentage breakdown on that, in those systems versus people who are using Adobe and MicroStation?
Yeah, I would say that it's mostly BricsCAD and AutoCAD, and more so AutoCAD, right? Because Autodesk is the big monster out there, the big CAD monster. But we're seeing more and more folks using BricsCAD, and we're a BricsCAD partner, by the way, so we can definitely talk to you about that and save you some costs of buying AutoCAD over BricsCAD over AutoCAD, or the other way around. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely people out there using Adobe and MicroStation, but look, Bluebeam is a powerful industry-specific tool, so in our industry, I think the statistics are something like 85 to 90% of people are using Bluebeam. Yeah,
it's just crazy. I mean, you don't talk to anybody who isn't using Bluebeam. So, all right, I tell you what, so let's start with the PDF end of this, right? So in Bluebeam, you can assign layers to any and all markups that you create. And you can do that manually, right? You can create your own layers if there are no layers already in the PDF, or you can use the original design layers from the DWG file, right? If the architect or engineer was, kind enough to include the layer data like we talked about in the first half of the show. Once all the markups are done, right? You did all the markups and changes, right? And they're assigned to a layer. What you're going to want to do is isolate the layer or layers that your markups are on and flatten the file, right? That's the command. You're going to use the flatten command in Bluebeam. So flattening, it's a Bluebeam command that makes your drawn information part of the background PDF, right? So it's no longer freely editable markup items. And you don't even have to save your file that way, right? But it makes the export to CAD integration process easier in the next few steps if you do that, right? So once you've flattened out your document, you're going to go to the Layers tab in Review, right? And then right-click on the layer or layers. You can select multiple layers, using the Control Shift keys like you would in any Windows program. You right click on the layers that you still have turned on, and you choose the Export to Page option. Right? And what this is going to do, it's going to create a new PDF that has nothing in it but the lines and text and symbols that are on the layers you've selected. Right? It creates a whole new PDF. It's just like, W blocking out from a CAD drawing, if you guys are familiar with that. And that's going to make the import into CAD a lot faster and easier to handle, because rather than importing a full PDF with thousands of bits of information on it that you don't need, right? You're only importing just the line work, the layer information that you're going to want to bring back into the CAD system. So you go ahead and you just save that new PDF to a reasonable location, kind of like, with the folder where the CAD file is a good spot, right? And you're ready to go for the actual CAD import. Okay. So Rocco, how many clients kind of come for us to help with even basic Bluebeam tools and features, right? Like layering and flattening on a regular basis, right? Do we see that people are more in need of like basic Bluebeam help or more advanced Bluebeam help? Where do they sit on that seesaw, I guess?
Oh, A to B.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way across. I mean, there's Bluebeam is so, and I say this a lot on sales calls, Bluebeam, and people, that's one thing that people never disagree with me on, that Bluebeam is so underutilized. There's so much capability within the product that people don't even know about. From all the conversations we have with customers, it's so much of it is education. So yeah, we're definitely covering from basics to advanced in our conversations.
Yeah, and like I said, that's where things like this, right? This ability to bring the data into CAD. It's something that most people go, "What? I had no idea I could do that," and that's why we do the show. So let's actually move over to the CAD side of this, right? So we exported the PDF. So now, what are we going to do? We're going to open up the appropriate drawing file, right? And we can do that in either BricsCAD or AutoCAD. They both use the exact same DWG file type, and they have the exact same command and features and functions for this, so it doesn't matter which program you use. And the command you want is PDF import, right? And it's going to ask you to browse to the PDF file that you want to import, right? And in general, it's going to give you the opportunity to select the PDF page number that you want to use, right? So that if there are multiple pages, you can say, hey, I want to bring in page 24. But if you've already followed, right, that export to layer process that I talked about earlier, you're probably only going to have one page per PDF to import. So you can just select page 1 and you're all ready to go. Now, the important thing here is that, the options for the PDF import, before you just say, okay, you want to go to the settings, right, and change the options here. And it's going to let you do a few things, right? First, you're going to want to adjust the settings for this command, right? You can choose the PDF layers, right? Which is great, right? When you already set the layering in Bluebeam to put it onto your CAD layer, right? Or you can go ahead and create new layers based on the type of item. And you can also set here, it's called convert to vector geometry. And you should always turn this on, always, right? This way, the lines that it bring in, they're not like pixelated dot lines that you have to draw on top of. They're actually fully functional CAD lines, vector-based lines, once you import the file. And in the settings, you can also choose to bring the line work from your PDF in as a block, right? So that it can be moved, etc., rotated, whatever you need to do as a single item to begin with. And I almost always choose this option just to ensure that I'm going to be able to easily get the markups where they need to be in the DWG file. So once your settings are fixed, right, the system is going to ask you for an insertion point for that file. And you have an option here, right? You can do this in two ways, right? You can insert it either into model space or layout space at 0,0 or somewhere else if you needed to. And generally, I prefer to use layout space in my CAD system, right? So that the markups, right, which were likely sketched on something like a 24 by 36, PDF sheet, they just insert right at the same graphic location on the 24 by 36 layout space sheet, right? So it's just kind of a one-to-one match. Alternatively, right, you can go in and you can insert the markups into model space, right? And then you can move and scale and adjust the line weight and rotate it, right? Or line work rather, not line weight, to move things and scale it up to the exact location in model space. And that, I think, is where importing as a block is really, really helpful. What I'll do is I'll actually go in and I'll take one known point, like the center of a structure or a corner of a building or whatever, in the PDF import block, and I move it to line it up with the same point in model space in the CAD drawing. Then I'll use the scale with reference command to get the size right. In other words, right, I'll pick a line and say, hey, this line goes from here to here, and then just tell CAD that's supposed to be 25 feet long, and it just scales the whole block up so that line is 25 foot long in reality. So that's a way to do it. And if you did insert it into layout space, like I said, is my preference, you can just, usually it comes in the right spot already, but it's just kind of overlaid. But I can use the change space command, and that pushes the line work into model space already scaled up and already at the right location and the correct size. So it's just seconds and you're there. And from there, you can just explode the block that you brought in, and your line work is fully drawn. It's actual vector line work, just like you would draw in a CAD system. It's on the right layer. It's at the right size. It's geolocated in the CAD drawing. Right? That's how you bring all that data in and simplify all the as-built, submittal, shop drawing processes, right? It's as simple as could be, right? So tell you what, we'll switch it up here a little bit, Rocco. I'm going to give you the last word here on today's show. Where can people go and how do they contact you if they need help or training to help them understand and implement this PDF to CAD workflow system for their company? Well,
I've got a question for you before.
You have a question?
Before
a question for me? No one ever asks me questions. What you got?
So we didn't talk about how Bluebeam handles Revit files. Are you able to address that?
Yeah, in terms of this, right, in terms of Revit, right, one of the things that we can do there is that, Revit can print out 3D PDFs. Now, by the way, if Revit can generate the drawing files and you can do all of these same things in Revit, and you've got the PDF import for the 2D section, but it's just going to be 2D line work, right? Most people working in Revit are dealing with 3D. But one of the things that is nice there is that you can actually print out from Revit using Bluebeam. You can print out 3D PDFs so that the PDFs are actually three-dimensional and people can add notes and comments and things there. And when you print out and pull that stuff out from Revit outwards, it also will include as Bluebeam column-based metadata all of the BIM properties for your object. So there's a ton of additional features and stuff that tie into Revit there. So fair question. Fair question. I like it.
Good. All right. So yeah, if you guys want to learn more about all this stuff and check out, a lot of the videos and webinars and other podcasts and blogs that we do, it's zentechconsultants.net, or check out our YouTube channel as well. You'll be able to check out a lot of the videos that most of them that Jim has done. So
yeah, unfortunately, it does mean you have to listen to me talk some more. So yeah. All right, folks. With that, we're going to bounce out of here, and we'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.